Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
$11:02 on The Lock Shop. Dusty and P. Greggy with you. It's Wednesday. We've got golf picks. We will get into that. If you're watching over on YouTube, hammer the thumbs up for us. And if you've not yet subbed to the channel, we are very close to 6,300 subs, or 9,300 subs, so we'd appreciate the subs. 69 people watching right now. I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, there we go, Patty. I'm looking at the inbox from the Hangout today. Did those guys get into the whole Michael Jordan, LeBron stuff? Was that happening on the Hangout today? Oh man, I'm gonna have to talk to the employees. Get that narrative pushed along. I think that's probably the best way to do it. Did Patty? Oh, I thought you froze for a second in a hilarious position, but you do look like you're good to go. Patty, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Ready to make some golf picks. I was ready to put an outright bet on Dustin Nielson, the golf pro, after seeing that swing.
That was a nice swing, wasn't it? Like, I was pretty
silky smooth.
Yeah, I looked back on it after, and I was just like, damn, like that was a pretty good swing. Why do I not play better? It was that was a fun day. The $100,000 hole-in-one presented by Golf Town today out at the Ranch Golf and Country Club, where we will be for our EST golf tournament on Tuesday. Had 25 winners. One guy couldn't make it because of a family emergency, so we had 24 people take a swing. The guy who ended up being closest to the pin finished about 33 feet away, but rolled it back about 10 feet. He actually put a pretty good run at it. He was the only one who landed on the green. The other 23 missed the green. But I stepped up, used somebody else's 5-iron, no glove, wasn't feeling great. Got it over the water, which it would end up being an okay shot. Like, if I was playing my own round, I'd be like, okay, I can make that work. You know, that type of thing. So, but yeah, like, I want to save that stroke forever. I thought I looked way worse when I swung than that one, man. I don't know. I'm not Batia, but still, I mean, I'll take it.
Let's not use the B word around these quarters. Okay, I'm still absolutely heartbroken.
I'm sorry
from the way he finished things off, but no, it was an awesome day you guys threw on. I had the stream out. I was dying laughing. Really nice job by Golf Town and you guys to think of something quite like that, and it is a nice little tee up to your guys' golf tournament on Tuesday, which unfortunately we're not going to be able to make the trip. But if there is a second annual trip, a tournament, we will certainly have to make it out. But no, it was great. Really good to see, and I'll be honest, pretty tough par 3 to have that hole-in-one challenge on. What about
181? Not a huge green. Like, it was. It was not an easy shot. Like, the guy who dropped it and rolled it back a bit to be 30 feet. That's a pretty good shot on that hole regularly. Like, for a guy who plays that course quite a bit, that was a good shot. So he's got to be happy with it, I would think. So that's good. Mark over in the Nasty Chat on YouTube says, hey, is Huss still hungover from the WNBA game? Like, what a tough place to be stuck for 3 days. Like, he's sitting there, oh, man, I'm still in Vegas. And last night I see on Twitter, he's like, decided to pop in and see Caitlin Clark play in, like, the biggest crowd in WNBA history. It's like, some guys just have all the luck, do they not, Patty?
They certainly do. Huss is one of those guys that seems like he's got a horseshoe up his ass. Even when he's unlucky, he comes out winning. That's just the Huss, baby. We talked about his all-time free agency clip, in the lazy river. The mid-beer swig during the report was just so good. He's complaining about being stuck. I'm not convinced that the flight was actually canceled. I think he might have just extended his stay. Once he was in Vegas, he knew he couldn't get out.
Yeah, that might have been what it was. He's just gonna have to stick around a little bit. I love this text that just came in at 780-218-9999. Of course, if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, the number to text in is 780-218-9999. Sean texts in and goes, Huss talking NHL free agency in a lazy river is my spirit animal. I think a lot of people would just want to be Huss drinking in a lazy river, talking free agency, man. That's the ultimate dream. That's the ultimate dream right there. Better. I was holding out a little bit of hope that he connected to the lock shop yesterday from the lazy river again. Like, I thought there was maybe a 10 to 15% chance that happened.
Oh man, that would have been all time. That would have been all time. Just the stream comes up and there he is, shades on, laying back, Bud Light in hand, ready to go, ready to give out picks. And he would act like absolutely nothing's different. Like he would be so casual about it and just pop on screen and ready to go with the show. That would have been classic.
Yeah, sure. He is legendary. Matt over on YouTube watching right now says, Huss is off to Coney Island now to protest Nathan's #free Joey. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like, boys, you'll never believe what happened. I got redirected on my flight and I'm at Coney Island. I gotta go protest this thing. I wouldn't be surprised by that. So the Adventures of Huss, he's expected to be back tomorrow. It'll be him and Maddie on the Lock Shop tomorrow. They'll be talking CFL, and they'll be talking, obviously, a lot of soccer as well as the Euros and Copas continue. We'll get into that, but we got to talk some free agency, buddy. We haven't chatted with you since free agency hit. First of all, I want your thoughts out of market on what the Edmonton Oilers were able to accomplish with not the 20 or 25 million that a team like Nashville was working with.
Well, first and foremost, I will say what Nashville was able to do was quite impressive. I think it's easy to say they're the winners. But I think, obviously you take it with a grain of salt. The Oilers have to do some sort of cap gymnastics here. But what they were able to do with that offensive unit, man, oh man, did they just add even more firepower. I know the Skinner pickup is huge. I know he's a little bit of a liability when it comes defensively, but I mean, he adds more scoring punch to that lineup. I think the Vidker Arvidsson pickup might have been sneakily the best pickup, of the entire day. Like, I really like his game. I think he's going to fit really nicely, probably on that second line. And now you look at that, the top six, presumably you think it's McDavid, Hyman, Skinner, and then maybe Holloway, Draisaitl, Arvidsson. Like, that's a really strong top six. But even when you look down at the bottom six, Nugent Hopkins, McLeod, don't really know what happens with Kane. Maybe Kane's the odd man out. Maybe he ends up on LTIR. Maybe they figure out a way to kind of soak that cap. And then Janmark, Henrique, and Connor Brown on the fourth line. That's one of the best fourth lines in the NHL potentially. The thing for me is, okay, defensively, how do you get better? How do you improve? And do you address anything in between the pipes? But overall, I would give them probably like a B plus from now, just kind of leaning into what you are. You're an offensive group that can score at will. You get better that way. Sure, you need to improve defensively, but now I think if you're an Oilers fan, knowing that you are now a destination, like you are a destination that people want to come. Jeff Skinner wanted to come here with the opportunity. Victor Arvidsson wanted to come and play. Adam Henrique sounds like he took less money to stay with the team. It's the days of, having to overpay to bring players into some of these Canadian markets. Those days are gone. I don't know how big this window really is, but those days are gone because people want to play with 97. They want to play with 29. There's an opportunity to win a cup, and point was proven yesterday. I still think there is some work to be done in other areas, but overall, a really nice, tidy day for the Edmonton Oilers.
You do make a good point on, right now, the Oilers are a destination for players who want to have a good run in the Stanley Cup, want to play in one of the best buildings in the National Hockey League. There's a lot of reasons to want to play for the Edmonton Oilers right now, I think. But you are also right about the window. And that's why I think I like what Jeff Jackson did on, like, yeah, they're $2.5 million over the cap. Guess what? You got time to figure that out before the season starts, right? So go out, build the team that you want to build, and then you can pick apart whichever pieces you don't think are going to be a fit and however you go about it. But there's something to be said. And, you know, we've seen other teams that have been like Vegas forever. Vegas came in and just kept adding and kept adding and kept adding. And they obviously, it ended up costing them a couple of guys this time in free agency, and we'll see where they're at next year. But for a fan base and a city to see an organization that is fully in that win now mode just goes a long way. Like not a lot of markets get that every single year. We happen to have that in Edmonton right now, and it's a great time to be alive. It's a great time for everybody watching right now to be an Oilers fan.
It certainly is. And you know, you're one win away from winning the Stanley Cup. You're one win away. You're a couple of goals away from winning a Stanley Cup if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan. So the fact that it was like, you know, not, oh man, we were so close, but what is this window? We got to think about the future. No. It's win now. It's the chips are in. Go all broke for nothing, because how much longer do you have Leon Draisaitl for? Is he gone next year? What happens when, you know, you're 50% of your core could potentially be tied up with 3-4 players? As a guy that is currently living that nightmare right now, it is not great. But the plan was always to win a cup before some of those contracts kicked in, before that happened. That didn't happen in Leafland. Now we are feeling the effects of having so much money tied up and having to figure out ways to fill other holes. The Oilers aren't at that point yet. And I think if they win a cup, win 2 cups, you know, if you could say you go to 4 cup finals and walk away with 2, I think whatever happens after that, you figure out a way. You're always going to be a contender as long as 97's in that line. I mean, even if Draisaitl was to go somewhere else, you'll figure out a way. You'll use that money elsewhere, and you'll figure it out. So you do have that window. You have to keep that window in mind. But when that window is open, you got to go all in. You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's got to be all in, and it's so evidently clear that's the case with the Oilers, and it's good to see that, because you are right. There are a lot of teams that preach we want to win now, but in the back of their mind, they're thinking, okay, what are we going to do after this? What about the future? The future is now for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, well, it was interesting at the draft that they also traded up to get a first-round pick. You know, like, you don't see a lot of teams in win now mode also trade up to get into the late first round. We'll see how that all pans out. Draft the kid from London, and you know, we'll see where that goes. Obviously, an asset. They traded a recent high pick to bring in Ekholm last year. So, you know, always just another asset that they probably feel pretty comfortable with. It is the Lock Shop presented by Coolbet. If you've not yet signed up for an account at Coolbet, use the code LOCKSHOP when you do, and you get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. Nielson with you. Pat Gregoire in for Huss today, who's on a long journey back from Vegas to Winnipeg. He'll be back in tomorrow. But sticking on the and look, if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart, you can text us 780-218-9999. If you're watching over on YouTube today, hammer the thumbs up, give us a sub, and drop a comment over there. And Penner's Pancakes is asking, P. Greggy, what is happening with Marner in Leafland? They are keeping him now, aren't they? What is the 2 days after the Tanev and OEL deals looking like in Toronto right now?
So we'll start with the Marner situation, and it leads to believe in a lot of folks inside, you know, the Toronto media, and just what the rumblings going on. It does kind of sound like, you know, this Mitch Marner exodus is just not going to happen. I don't think there wasn't a lack of trying. I think they just realized, any way you slice it, Mitch Marner's trade value has never been lower. If you were going to get rid of him, you should have done it before the start of last year. So I think it's come to a point, maybe mid-season something happens, maybe deadline something happens. I think he starts camp wearing blue and white. I really do. Do I think it's the right call? Do I love seeing this group run it back, have this core run it back? Absolutely not. But I think that's kind of the cards that the Toronto Maple Leafs are dealt with right now. This is what Brad Treleving is dealt with. He's not the guy who signed all these big deals, but he's the guy that's got to have to figure out a way to get it. He already lost a big trade with Matthew Tkachuk, and it has been, overblown to, I don't want to say overblown, but it has been blown up with what the Florida Panthers were able to do. I don't think he wants to go through that again. I know he doesn't want to have to go through that again. Allow a player to have the advantage or just cut a player to win some good PR in the public spotlight. That's just not going to happen. So unfortunately, I think he's going to stick around. I think they're going to try to figure out another way how they can change this thing up. When you look at their back end, yeah, Chris Tanev, love bringing in a guy like that. That's exactly what they've been missing, a butcher to play alongside Morgan Rielly, guy that can, log a lot of minutes, kill penalties. He steps up his game in the postseason. Do I love the term? Absolutely not. But the Leafs have shown in years past they can flex their financial muscles, put him on Robida Island, put him on LTIR. He'll find a way. He'll be allergic to his hockey equipment, and in the last 2 years of his deal, won't be there. He'll find a role within the team, and there'll be some sort of circumvention going on there. OEL didn't really love the deal and the term when I first saw the news, but when you saw some of these deals rolling through, like, I don't know if it's because the cap is finally going up, but GMs were depth defensemen. There was not a better time to be a depth NHL defenseman.
Yeah,
than July
didn't
1st.
Joel Edmondson almost get $4 million over a 4-year term? Like that
3.9.
Yeah, that blew my mind, man.
Yeah, so all things considered, a guy that's probably going to play on your second pairing, a guy that probably will get some power play looks, guy that just was on, a pretty solid playoff run. Mind you, he was only playing about 15 minutes a game, but still a guy that you can insert. And no doubt the Toronto Maple Leafs back end right now, despite when you want to talk about term, right now is significantly better than what it was at the end of last year or opening night, last year. When you look at the bottom six, that is certainly a glaring issue, a glaring issue. This team is not as deep as it once was. They need to address that. I don't know how they address it. There really wasn't a ton out there that they could go out and get. There was a couple of guys here and there. Maybe you'd want to make a splash, but the hands are tied, so tied financially. Really didn't know what to do here. I think it's got to be addressed in a trade. That's the only way you can really address it. And I know, yes, their depth was an issue, throughout this season. But you know what else was an issue, Dusty? Was scoring goals. And it wasn't just Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner and Willie Nylander and John Tavares lighting the lamp, a goal a game. And, the cast of characters below weren't able to come up with a goal. No. It was the big dogs, once again, with the exception of William Nylander, actually, that weren't able to come up. So, sure, if you build this great bottom group, this bottom six, that's great and going to produce scoring. We know what happens in playoff time. Yeah, you need those.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go. I was like, is this team any better off in the playoffs? Like with the core that they have, they're going to be a playoff team. I mean, that's for sure. But do you think they're better suited to go any further in the playoffs than they have the last 5 years?
Not really at all. I think they've taken a step back offensively. They're way better defensively. So maybe you could argue that, but I mean, the goaltending is still obviously, they pick up Stolars, who all indications could be a really good goalie, big, huge kid. Joseph Woll, I think, has what it takes to be a really good goalie in the NHL. The only unfortunate thing is he's made of glass and can't stay healthy. I think both these goalies have played maybe a career high of like 40 games each in a single season. So a lot of question marks there. I think it goes down to the coaches hoping the management also hoping things might be a little bit different this year with their new coach, with Berube in town. Maybe he's able to get a little more out of this group in the postseason. Maybe he's able to structure this team to be able to play a better brand of playoff style hockey. It's a lot of wishful thinking. But
we lost him. We lost Patty. I think he'll reconnect. There he is. He's
there.
Back.
We go. Okay.
That was a quick turnaround. We lost you right at a lot of wishful thinking, but
Yeah, a lot of wishful thinking, but I think that's what you kind of have to do when so much money is tied up in four players and four players that haven't been able to prove, what they can do here. So John Tavares, he comes off the books next year. Maybe they're able to sign him to a more team-friendly deal. You move him to the wing. I don't know what it is. It feels like this is a punt year, but how can you punt a year when you have Austin Matthews on your team? And I know you could say what he did, not a playoff performer.
No, but you have to be all in. Like, you have to be going for it. Like, it's just
the guy almost scored 70 goals
Yeah.
last year. Like, he is a generational goal scoring talent. You have to be all in. You can't just hold your hands and say, oh, well, this guy comes off the books. This guy comes off the books. Then we can revamp. You got to be able to try to win. I don't know if they can do it, but you have to at least try.
So this question over from Fazilla Moose in the YouTube chat. I don't think I've seen it before. So, hey, sub if you haven't already. We'd appreciate that. Any news on Draisaitl? And just back to the Oilers front here for a second. Then I want to talk about a couple of other teams in free agency. What do you think, just for fun, because this is the lock shop and you are with Coolbet, if we were to set odds right now on Leon Draisaitl's next team, like what do you think the odds of Leon Draisaitl not being an Oiler in the next 2 years? What do you think that would be set at? Like minus 3,000, minus 1,000, minus 500? You know, all the speculation, obviously. I don't know how you would even set those odds. I'm just trying to describe, like, almost whatever word we would use, a long shot that he's somewhere else. What would that translate to odds-wise? Because I'd be very interested to see what the plus number would be on the other side if he's leaving. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of a fun way to look at the conversation.
It really is. And I think when you break things down, I think it's got to be like, I don't think it would be minus 3,000 because
that's almost like zero chance, right? Like,
I think like McDavid would be like, 10,000. So I don't know, maybe like 1,500, minus 1,500 for him not to be an Oiler next season or whatever it may be. I'd be curious for like who would be. What are the odds for like the other teams? I know.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? There'd be some of the usuals that would pop up there probably, but I just like we said it yesterday when we talked about this, Patty. Like, how's he supposed to find a better situation? They can give you like you're just not going to. Like, the Oilers have put themselves in a spot where in other situations you'd be like, wow, there's a few better spots, some better situations to be in. But you're on a cup contender. You know they're going to give you as much money as you possibly want. You get to stay with Connor McDavid. I don't know how you find a better solution out there situation if you're Leon Draisaitl. Like,
so the only thing I could think of is, when push comes to shove, he just wants to get paid as much as possible. And unfortunately, like, I don't know if the Oilers could really pay him that. Maybe, let's say, Boston Bruins can, or like, I don't know, maybe the Chicago Blackhawks, maybe he just goes and plays with another really good Connor and Bedard and becomes his running mate. I he's able to get paid a little more there because of some cap flexibility, but you're right. There isn't a better option than right now. And me personally, I see a hard time seeing him not go somewhere else. But at the end of the day, this is a business. And if he wants to get paid as much as he can, and as much as he feels like he should be getting paid just as much as Connor is going to be getting paid, or whoever the next big, next big free agent that is due up.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the only thing. But do you want money or do you want legacy? If you want legacy, you stay in Edmonton. You build the next great dynasty. You build next to your running mate in 97, and you go with that. And you make so much money after your career in endorsements. And there's other ways. I know, again, it's a business, and it's a lot easier to know what's in front of you if there is that big, huge check. And I don't know. It's to me, Leon Draisaitl is a competitor. I think he would want to stay and want to continue to build what he's doing. But I mean, there could be a team that throws a ridiculous number at him and he might not be able to say no.
What's interesting to me is that Rantanen will also be a UFA. And Rantanen is coming off of a 6-year deal that already paid him $9.2 million per. So he'll be looking for the significant bump as well. And I wonder if there's this game of chicken of like Rantanen's group being like, let's see what Draisaitl gets, and we'll come in a little bit below that for Rantanen. And if Draisaitl's group saying, hey, let's see if Rantanen gets 12.5, and then we'll have the new, because they're similar guys. Draisaitl's accomplished a little bit more, like not from a cup perspective, I get that, but from individual awards and offensive expectations, there's a little bit of a advantage there. I love Rantanen, don't get me wrong, but there's a little bit more there for Draisaitl. So I wonder if there'll be a little bit of a game of chicken over there. I love Smitty the Welder on the Nasty Chat says, Leon isn't going anywhere. He wouldn't have texted O'Reilly after the draft if he was leaving, which is, I love like that being it. Like, whoa, Draisaitl texted the first round pick. He's staying. I like that being like the final checkbox. Like, that's it. Yep. He's not going anywhere. I think that's good. Okay, quickly, one more that I wanted to get to in the National Hockey League was Utah. It's interesting. New ownership takes over, and they trade for Sergachev. They trade for Marino. From a starting to build a team properly perspective, I like the idea of doing it on the blue line. I think Sergachev's a guy who is capable of carrying some heavier minutes than he already was doing in Tampa Bay. And, Mostly, I just love the fact that they're not in Arizona anymore because that disaster was such an experiment, and Bettman has finally proven that he failed there. But I'm intrigued by how Utah could possibly not shift the power scale, but certainly add another legitimate threat to other teams trying to keep free agents and stuff. It could end up being a nice real wrinkle in the next 12 months here in the National Hockey League.
Well, I think there was, when these Mitch Marner rumors were afloat, a lot of folks thought Utah would be a spot for him. A fresh start, a fresh organization, someone who can be branded as the face of the franchise. And I think there's something that is exciting and enticing about being a part of a new franchise. If Utah sports has proven anything, that's going to be a passionate fan base from day one. They want to have a winning product from day one, because when you look at recent history, look at the Vegas Golden Knights, look at, Seattle, obviously not the same expectations or the same results, what we saw from Vegas. But if you have a winning product from day one, it's a lot easier to build a fan base than if you're, consistently a lottery team. So I like what they're doing there. They obviously have some really good young pieces already from, the putrid seasons that they had in Arizona, like Caden Keller, Hayton, Logan Cooley, Dylan Gunther, Lawson Krause. Like, there's a lot of really young talent up front. Now they're starting to build that back end. I like what they are doing there. Although Clayton Keller was seen at UFC 303 with Austin Matthews.
Oh,
maybe
there it is. Who wasn't there? Mitch Marner wasn't there, but Clayton Keller was. I mean, that's something you could look at. I would like to see Clayton Keller, and maybe this will eventually change in Utah if they can bring in some other bodies or some of those younger guys there develop. But I would like to see Clayton Keller on an elite team, just to see what that skill can do when it's surrounded by other like legitimate NHL stars. Yeah. I think that would be a lot of fun. All right, you can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999 if you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart. We're at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. And for those of you watching over on YouTube, hammer the thumbs up for us today and sub to the channel as well. We would appreciate that. Let's quickly get to that little MLB double play parlay. And then we'll dive into the John Deere Classic. Give us a little bit more time for some picks. Patty, do you have a time to look at the Major League Baseball schedule for the evening?
I did, and I'll be honest, Dusty, nothing like money line total jumped out to me. So the one team that reluctantly I've been following this year actually has shown a sign of life, and the big sign of life has been George Springer. He is on an absolute heater right now. 2 weeks ago, it looked like this guy could potentially be out of MLB. Now he's on a 7-game hitting streak. He's batting .500. He hit a 3-run jack last night. Loves playing well against his old team. So when I saw this number, I was kind of surprised. And I know with bases, The number is a little bit juicy always, but I thought it was going to be a little lower in this, so I'm taking it. My play for the double play is going to be Springer over 1.5 bases at plus 125.
I like that. I like the player prop in there. Okay, it's about time Springer got going. My God, if all these guys could just get going at the same time, you're like, oh, you're killing us right now. And I'm just about ready to dive back into it. I was on the Bear morning show today here in town, and Scott McCord brought up the Blue Jays, and I was just like, I'm just not ready just yet. Like, we're just coming out of NHL free agency. At some point, I'm going to slide back in for that disappointment that is going to be coming at some point again for me. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ready to have the heartbreak of like caring about the Jays as much as I usually do for 3 weeks, and then being like, why did I come back? Why did I watch Jays in 30 for 3 straight weeks? Like, it just frustrates me. So I like the fact that you're going with Springer. What was the number on Springer? I'm just trying to think of the number that we could get here, dude. What was it? You said over 1.5.
Plus 125.
Okay, plus 125. Okay, so I want to get on the Red Sox against Miami. Miami is rolling out Trevor Rogers, who's 1-8 on the year with a 4.87 ERA. And those numbers have gotten worse recently. So I like Boston at minus 150. So if we get on the Red Sox at minus 150 and then minus 130. Ooh, that number's moved, I think. This is great. Minus 130 on the Sox. And then Blue Jays over total bases. Georgie plus 298. I like it. All right, so
before
that's before
the boys get their hands on it too.
Yeah, no, that's good. Evdog, be good to us, man. Red Sox minus 130. Springer over 1.5 total bases. That'll be your double play of the day here on the Lock Shop, which just has a nice ring to it. So you're getting a lot of those throughout the summer here with myself and Huss and whoever, or me or whoever, plus 298 pre-boost. So wait for that to pop up in the exclusives page over at Coolbet. And you got some other MLB exclusives over there as well, Patty. Do you mind if I hit these? I'll hit these, and then we'll get into some golf.
Yeah, hit them. Let's do
so you got the double chance dinger. Judge and or Ohtani to hit a home run. Oh, just one or the other.
Yes.
That's okay. That's plus 105. I like that one. The hit parade is Soto, Vladdy, Freeman, and Henderson all to record 1 hit or more, plus 315. The chalk tonight, Yankees, Rangers, and Twinkies, plus 345. And then the flamethrowers, Carlos Rondon, Zach Wheeler, Logan Gilbert, all to record 7+ strikeouts at plus 650. So those Coolbet daily exclusives are sitting over there waiting for you as well. And then we'll have the double play parlay locked in there with the Red Sox at minus 130 and Springer over 1.5 total bases at plus 125. You know what I'm not seeing there? I'm not seeing any P. Greggy golf specials as we transition to the John Deere Classic. When are those going to be up, Patty?
Those hopefully will be up momentarily. They'll be
beautiful.
Very, very soon. So I can run through them once I do make my other picks.
Yeah.
But those should be up hopefully by the end of the show. So
all right, well let's get into it. It's the John Deere Classic Zacticum here. Young guy, very excited, does some great work behind the scenes. A little raw in air, but he's coming around. He goes, Dusty, I was looking at a John Deere Classic. I'm not sure I recognize a single name on there. I was like, well, that's for you. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, come on. Like, you don't know Sanjay M? You're killing me, Zacticum. Jordan Spieth at this tournament. Like, with that being said, it's not a who's who. It's not a great lineup, but there's a lot of guys lurking around here that we throw on cards every once in a while anyway. I mean, I would think if I gave you, I guarantee right now you could guess 2 of the 3 guys that I've got on my card. So where are you going on yours? Let's get into this.
Well, I'll start with the guy that probably is going to be on your card is Denny McCarthy. 22-1.
Nailed it. Yes, of course.
And the only reason the other guy, who I think you would probably pick, he's one of the top dogs at the top. And I just couldn't, in this tournament, couldn't bet that. There's too much other value there. He is going to be Oh, by the way, is it Sepp Straka?
It's Sepp Straka. Yeah. I told you. I knew you'd nail to it. As I was doing my list, I was just like, well, I'm going to be on Denny McCarthy. Like, look at what he's done here at this event. And I was like, but I know Patty's going to be like, I know you're on Denny McCarthy. So, I mean, the third guy I don't think you'll get, but I wouldn't be surprised if you also have him on your list. But anyway, go ahead. Take us through it. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't steal your thunder on both of them, but I couldn't say no to Denny McCarthy. You mentioned, obviously, his course history here. Cool. Finished T6 in back-to-back years. And also in his last four of his last 5 trips to TPC Deere Run, he's gained more than 2 strokes with the putter. That is why I'm on him as well, is the putter. The putter is absolute fire. He is elite with the flat stick. He is second in strokes gained putting, 5th in putting average, 1st in putts per round, and 1st in 1-putt percentage. Similar to last week, I think this is going to be a course that's a little a little easier. Not as long as a course like the Bombers won't play here, which also plays well into Denny. It's going to be ball striking and it's going to be putting. It's going to be a birdie fest. The fact that he putts so well leads me to believe that he is going to be in play here. He hasn't won yet. He's come close to victories, 2 runner-ups in some extra golf. So he hasn't been able to get it done. I think if he's going to win, it's going to be here. And I was surprised, Dusty, 22-1. I thought he was going to be closer to some of those other guys down the board. Yeah. I guess his recent form quite isn't as strong as what we saw at the start of the year, but this seems like a perfect spot for Denny, all things considered. Another guy that has a guy that has a win this season, hasn't maybe been playing as good as of late, but he started to pick things up last week. Nick Dunlap, 35-1. Great start to his pro career. You know, he's an amateur. He wins in the first event of the season, then starts to cool off. But he's a guy in some of these lesser field events, he really comes out to play. He was really striking the ball nicely last week as well. Gained 5.1 strokes on approach and 3.2 off the tee, en route to a T10 finish. His best finish since winning the first event of the year. So Nick Dunlap, 35-1. I think he could be in play here. The other guy that started the season off as an amateur and is now a pro, and he has been really turning heads in the golf world, is Neil Shipley, 80-1. He finished tied for T20th at the Rocket Mortgage, but he ranked 6th in strokes gained tee to green. He gained 5.1 strokes on approach and just about 1 stroke off the tee. He also ranked 6th in strokes gained around the green. His putter wasn't too great, but he has shown in a lot of events that his putter is one of his strongest aspects of the game. This is the same guy that won the, low-am at the Masters, low-am at the U.S. Open. But at the U.S. Open, he wasn't just a low-am. He finished just outside the top 25. This is a guy that is a promising young golfer, and I think in a weaker field at 80-1, I really like his value there. So those are my 3 top plays. I also probably will sprinkle on Sepp Straka closer to the event. And then I would also even consider Adam Svensson. I know he missed the cut last week, Dusty, but he's been playing some really good golf. If his putter can catch fire, which it has the previous 3 events, he is one of the best ball strikers on tour. This is a ball striker's paradise. And this is a big opportunity as well. This John Deere Classic is also the last opportunity for a lot of these American, or I guess you should say North American players to play their way into the Open Championship. Yeah. So really good result here. They actually can qualify for that tournament.
So a lot on the line for a lot of these guys here at the John Deere Classic. You did mention Denny McCarthy, who I'm on at 22-1. I was on Denny McCarthy a little bit earlier in the year. Love seeing him at this number at this event. His recent form has not been great, but his form at this tournament has been so good. I don't know how you can look past that. And, a lot of the time with a lot of these guys, it's like, man, they just got to get the putter going. If they putt well this weekend, then they've got a shot. If they can putt well this weekend, they should be in the mix. Well, that's never the case with him. He putts extremely well. It's his inconsistent irons that have caused him issues, but they haven't caused him issues here. Like, he's been absolutely incredible back-to-back, the exact same score, 16 under each of the last 2 years to finish in solo sixth in each of the last 2 years. So I love Denny McCarthy at 22-1. You are right. I am on Straka. I've been on Straka in some bigger events with some of the bigger guys over the last little while. So when I saw him at the top of a lot of lists, I was like, of course I'm going to be on this guy. And he's the defending champion here. The only other time he's been a defending champion somewhere, PGA National, went back in 2023 and finished T5. So it's not like he wasn't in the mix. I worry, where do you come out on guy who won it last year going back to back? It doesn't happen very often. So you're kind of balancing like course history versus, well, is he really going to go back to back? But against this field, I think a guy like Straka could go back to back. Hell, it's probably why he won in the first place last year.
Yeah, it's so tough. It really is. Like I tend to then, like this week for me, I probably will bet him. It's just when you look at it, 16-1, can he go back to back? Like really? I mean, yes, he absolutely can. It's not just he plays well here. He has been in such consistent form.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's a small event, a big event. The guy just shows up and plays. So certainly, I think if you're afraid of the back-to-back factor, maybe go with a little bit of a bigger bet and go top 5 or top 10. I know I'm already on a top 10 bet.
What is it? What is the top 10? What's the top 10 number for Straka?
Good.
That's, I mean, that's a really good idea. I like that idea. I'm just curious on what the, I mean, I could have brought up too here. I got the page open right now. But
if you got the page open, take a look. I don't have mine open.
Let me see here. Plays top 10. Yeah. Top 10's plus 175 on SEP right now. So yeah, that's a good number. Top 20 still a plus number. It's still plus 105. The only guy who's minus anything to place top 20 in this event is Sanjay M at minus 105, who I'm sure Huss probably would have been on if he had texted his picks.
Yep.
Like I feel like Sanjay M would have definitely been a Huss pick here. So I am on Sep Straka. I think he gunned down like a 62 last year to lock this thing up.
Yeah,
so Sep Straka, Denny McCarthy with the two of them. The other guy that I'm going with, and recent form has not been good, but his last 5 trips to this event, T25, T10, he won it, then he missed a cut, then it was T6 last year. So he's got a win and 4 other top 25s, 3 of them top 10s, and that's Lucas Glover, who's at 50-1. And I think we can get a guy who's had that much success on this course at the 50 number in a field like this. The math there just works for me on Lucas Glover this weekend.
Yeah, Lucas Glover is a guy that I think has popped up on a lot of people's, betting cards at this event. Yeah, the recent form certainly
it's not good. Yeah, it's not good.
But it's not good. But it's also not him going in to play the PGA Championship or even the Wells Fargo. It's him going into the John Deere Classic, where he is probably one of, if not the most veteran players, in this field. He knows what it takes. He knows what he needs to do. So for me, I definitely at the number as well. I would seriously consider riding with you. I think I just have too many other outright bets, but Lucas Glover would be a play that would totally make sense to make at this event.
All right. So before we build our partner parlay, even if they're not up yet, what do you have for the Greggy specials, just so we're not overlapping too much here?
Yeah, sure. So I'll pull up the Greggy's golf specials. I've got 2 of them for this event, and it's looking like, so the first one, Sep Straka, Denny McCarthy, both to finish inside the top 20 at plus 361. The other one is Nick Dunlop, Adam Svensson, and Neil Shipley, all to be inside. Went a little bit different here, inside the top 40. So not just to make the cut, but to make the cut and also be inside that top 40. The top 20 number was just a bit too juicy for my liking, so I went with the top 40 instead. Still think it's going to be a pretty good number, maybe somewhere around the 700 mark. But yeah, those are my 2 top plays. All
right, so what are we putting together here, Patty? What do you think? What do you suggest?
So the other thing I'm thinking, I think Straka's got to be there.
Yeah.
Just based off his, or do we do Denny? But then Denny, and I've already got Sep Straka and Denny McCarthy.
Yeah, we don't want to do both of them. No.
Here's what I can do.
Okay.
Here's what I can do. I can sacrifice Denny and Straka as one of my Greggy's golf specials.
Okay.
For that top 20.
Okay. Well, you do that for us. You do that for the lock shop. Unbelievable,
for the
this
lock
guy.
shop, I absolutely
What
would
a
do
team
it. Big
player.
team guy, I'll do it.
You're like the Zach Hyman of the lock shop. Unbelievable. The commitment and the sacrifice of this is terrific. All right, so we got Straka and McCarthy. We're both on McCarthy. I'm on Straka. Who else do you want to put in from your other top plays?
Here's what I was thinking,
Okay.
because you stole the words out of my mouth. There is not a chance in hell Sung J M would not be on
dude,
Huss's card.
Guaranteed.
Why don't we go?
I guarantee when he texts us later, he goes, "Oh, hey, sorry, I was late on these. Here they are." Sanjay will be in there. Like, come on.
I think we go Sep, Denny, and Sung J all inside the top 20.
Yeah, that could work. I like that. I mean, that's really good. I mean,
if we wanted to get a little bit bold, we could maybe go like Sep top 10 and the other two top 20, or Sung J top 10 and the other two top 20.
I think I do like Sep top 10, and then Denny top 20. So Sep top 10 would be plus 175. Denny top 20 would be plus 125. Sanjay top 20 would be minus 105. So that Sep Straka number of plus 175 is going to help us a lot there. I think. I think that's probably the way you want to go on that one. So are you okay? We've been riding top 20s most of the year. Am I getting too risky going top 10 on Straka?
No, it's the John Deere, man. This is where you take the risks. This is where you can have a little bit of liberty here, because there is such a talent discrepancy from the top of the board to even the middle of the board. I'm okay with this. I really like it. Let's do it. Let's lock that in. Let's lock that in.
All right, let's do it. That's what we will do. We'll go Sep Straka top 10, Denny McCarthy top 20, and Sung J M in honor of Huss at minus 105. And when I say in honor of, he's not dead. He's just on the way back from Vegas. He'll be back in Winnipeg tomorrow, and he'll be back on the Lock Shop, okay? So watch for that to pop up on the exclusives page. It'll be on the Lock Shop exclusives page at coolbet.com. I was taking a look over at the CFL odds. You guys already have the odds up for a game next week, which is the Edmonton-Ottawa game next week. And the 0-4 Edmonton Elks are 3.5-point home favorites against the Ottawa Redblacks. I don't know how often you'll get an 0-4 team as a favorite of more than a field goal, but I think it's the right number. Like, I think the Elks have played well enough that they should be getting at least a field goal. I could see by the time this game kicks off, and it's not kicking off for like 9 days, but it is their next home game. They'll be coming off a bye week. Ottawa's playing in Winnipeg this week against another 0-4 team who are 2.5-point favorites, not the 3.5 that Edmonton's opened up at. Yeah, it's weird to say, but I like where the number's at for Edmonton here, even though they're 0-4 on the season.
They're an 0-4, but they're an 0-4 that probably deserves a little bit of better fate. And let's be honest, I mean, the Red Blacks aren't really world beaters themselves. I know they've got a couple wins, but they really got it handed to them against Montreal a couple of weeks ago. They're probably going to go up against a Bombers team that is so depleted. I'm not entirely too surprised at the number as well. It's just jarring when you have a team that does not have a win being the favorite. It really is. It is really crazy to see.
That's what I know. One guy replied. He goes, "How is that possible? They're 1.5-point underdogs versus the bye week this week," which is actually pretty funny. The Elks, that'd be a good hot take for tomorrow. The Edmonton Elks are 3.5-point dogs against the bye week. Oh, that's pretty good. All right, so that's something you can look at as well. Patty, fire me a text when the Lock Shop Partner Parlay's up, and I'll be sure to get that out there as well. And the double play parlay will probably be up here right away as well. So watch that. That'll come up. That'll come up on the Lock Shop page as well, right? So.
Oh yeah, that'll be up on the Lock Shop page. We'll probably get a tweet out there as well, and we'll make sure everyone knows when it's up and running, so you can head over to the exclusives and sprinkle all your winnings.
Quickly before I let you go, because Spency 5 cents, he was asking for it. He's like, anything on the Nathan's hot dog eating contest? That's a Huss thing. I don't know. I haven't had time to look at it. I don't know if you've had time to look at it. It's obviously taken a blow with Jaws being out, Joey Chestnut not being there. And with that being said, like the men's competition front runner right now is plus money, which you would have never had a sniff if Joey was around. So maybe there's a chance to actually make some money on it this year. But have you had any time to dive into Nathan's Famous? No.
No, man, I wish I could. I really wish I could. Maybe I'll do some tonight and
we have an expert
in the morning.
Like we have an expert,
we
but
do
he's
have
just
an
not
expert.
here today.
But he's also, I think, I honestly, in my heart of hearts, think he's going to protest and
he's boycotting,
not participate in betting.
Yeah, he's boycotting
for sure.
Yeah, you're right. I would. Yeah, I'm not betting on it this year in protest of Joey Chestnut not being there anymore. All right, okay, Patty, appreciate the time, man. Thanks a lot for popping by, and yeah, we'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Thanks as always.
All right, there you go. That is Pat Gregoire from Coolbet. And yeah, quickly on the Elks, that is an interesting number. Hey, Zach to come. Send Zach over. Zach, you got to flip it back to a one shot. It's not working on the thing here. We're going to give you a key word here for the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival as well. So we'll get into that. But yeah, the Edmonton Elks, funny tweet from William Mikespear. But the Elks, 3.5-point favorites. And usually the CFL doesn't post these, like not CFL, but Coolbet wouldn't post a line for next year. I think this might just be because Edmonton is heavily involved in Coolbet, so they want to get that number up there right now. But the Edmonton Elks being 3.5-point favorites at home against the Red Blacks. Hell, they're minus 179 money line favorites against the Red Blacks. So the odds makers are sitting here going, Edmonton's a pretty good favorite at home against Ottawa. And I think they are too. I mean, let's see what Ottawa does against Winnipeg on Friday night. But if Winnipeg played Edmonton right now, I think Edmonton would not, like I strongly believe Edmonton would probably win that football game, unless they do the classic shoot themselves in the foot and completely piss it away, and then they're never going to beat anybody. But Winnipeg is just not what they were. Like if you watch Winnipeg this year, I've called 2 of their games, watched one of the other 2 that they played so far, and they are a shadow of the former selves right now. Injury related, roster turnover related. So Winnipeg is still a 2.5-point favorite at home against Ottawa on Friday. But Edmonton, the very next week, is a 3.5-point favorite at home against Ottawa. And that just goes to show that the odds makers may be agreeing with me on the Elks being a better team than the Bombers right now. So it's crazy. 0-4 teams being favorited, but that's the Canadian Football League right now, man, and I'm here for it. I'm looking forward to sliding into Regina to call that Riders-Argos game tomorrow for TSN. That line opened at 3 points. The Argos are now 3.5-point favorites. Tough test for Shea Paterson. Getting the start at quarterback for the Riders with Trevor Harris going on the 6th game. Riders got a lot of good pieces, though. They're a really good defensive team. In my opinion, I think they're a good D team. I don't know if the numbers hold that true on that just yet. But the boys will give you all of our CFL picks. I'll be sending my CFL picks in to Maddie and Huss, and they'll pass those along tomorrow when they get into their CFL picks as well. 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. It is the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival, and we do have the opportunity to qualify right now for the Sunday VIP table. Bert Kreitzer, Whitney Cummings. We're going to give you a chance to do that right now. All you have to do is text in Elks. Let's do that. Text Elks right now to 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Text Elks, and you will go into a draw. If you are, Zacticum will draw one of your names. You'll go into the grand prize draw. That's going to be coming up right away because that's 2 weekends from now. The Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. If you want to get tickets, hop online, www.greatoutdoorscomedyfestival.com. I know the Friday night show with Shane Gillis and Andrew Schultz, that is sold out. Limited tickets available for Kevin Hart. I think it's about 85% sold out. And I think the Bert Kreitzer, Whitney Cummings show on Sunday is about 75% sold out right now as well. I was chatting with one of the Nasties who was out at the ranch this morning. He's got a VIP table to Kevin Hart on the Saturday for, I believe, his wife's birthday or his wife's anniversary or something. So that'll be a lot of fun. So Elks right now to 780-218-9999 if you'd like to qualify to possibly win free stuff. You can do that. You want to watch on the exclusive page over at Coolbet. Our MLB parlay will be popping up there at some point today, and the Lock Shop Partner Parlay will be popping up over there as well. And if you've not yet signed up for an account at Coolbet, they are the exclusive betting partner here of EST. Use the code LOCKSHOP when you sign up. All one word, LOCKSHOP at Coolbet.com. You get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to 200 smackaroos. Oil Stream is on the way. We're going to have a guest on the Oil Stream today. We're going to catch up with the head scout of the U18 Hockey Canada program as they get set for the Holinka, which means we will have Holinka tickets to give away on the oil stream as well. He's going to join us partway through the show today. And we have lots of free agency recap, obviously, to get to with myself and Tommy Gazzola. Thank you very much for joining us on the Lock Shop today. Best of luck tonight with all your bets, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.